Well, good afternoon. Welcome to this session on the Safety Compliance Challenge that we're running with AV Dawson. I'm Simon Green. I'm CEO of Edge Innovation Limited, who are delivering on this program. And with us on the call, we've got Dom Musardi, who's working for us on the digital side of the program on digital innovation, and John Booth from AV Dawson, who will be talking through some of the detail of the challenge very shortly. But first of all, just give you a bit of background in terms of what we're doing and how this program has been set up to put it into context. Then we'll go into the detail of the challenge and how you can get involved. This session is being recorded and will be made available afterwards through the program website if you want to have a look at anything afterwards, and we'll be sharing it online. So please don't put anything confidential into the discussion. So the Tees Valley Innovation Challenge is delivered, as I said, by Edge Innovation. We're a Northeast-based organization focused on design and innovation support. We're based in the Northeast, as I said, but we work nationally and internationally with small businesses, medium-sized businesses, right up to really big multinationals, the universities, and large public sector organizations. And our focus is really around where there are a need for different organizations to collaborate on projects, whether that's a small organization working with a bigger organization to co-develop something, as in this case, or creating new relationships between businesses and organizations and their customers and users through human-centered design principles, or working with businesses to develop new ideas, testing them out with potential users and getting them to market through our lean innovation methodologies. Ultimately, what we're really interested in is that connection between organizations. We think you can achieve a whole lot more working collaboratively than you ever can on your own. And in this context, that's why we're working with Tees Valley Combined Authority on this project. And for those of you who don't know, there's plenty of information on the Combined Authority on their website. As the statutory organization for the Tees Valley, the Combined Authority is responsible for securing investment into the area, creating jobs and economic growth, and ultimately transforming Tees Valley into a really vibrant place where people want to live, work, grow their careers, and can be very successful in doing so. And as part of what the Combined Authority is responsible for, it's the local responsible body for UK Share Prosperity Fund, with TVCA receiving over £46 million to invest in those funds over this current period. And as you can see in the top left there, I'm not expecting to read all the detail of this, but it's all on TVCA's website. But there's £13 million of that funding is going into supporting local businesses, including supporting innovation. So it's a theme that the Combined Authority takes very seriously and sees as an important part of growing the local area. So what's the Tees Valley Innovation Challenge? So we're running this program in order to try and strengthen the innovation capacity and maturity of businesses and organizations in the Tees Valley. There's loads of evidence around how innovation leads to economic growth and social benefit, but we need to make sure everyone's that wants to get involved in the innovation agenda has the capacity, ability, and networks to do so. We're using the program to unlock growth potential for local organizations, particularly smaller businesses. And ultimately, that helps present the Tees Valley as a place where innovation is happening, interesting things are happening, and people can be successful. We're doing that through tailored one-to-one business support with some of the team like Dom sitting down with businesses and working through their own innovation ideas and how to get them to market. We're working through a series of innovation, design, and lean innovation training sessions, which are running with businesses and helping them to think through how they approach innovation. We're doing the work that we're talking about today around specific challenges with big organizations, where we can connect them with smaller organizations for mutual benefit. And we're trying to create an ecosystem, if you like, but a way in which multiple organizations can work together on a peer basis or on a customer and supplier basis for everyone to succeed and achieve their objectives. We're focused on the Tees Valley Combined Authority area, as I said, because of the nature of where this program is coming from. So that's the local authorities that make up the TVCA region, and the support is focused on organizations within those. We're working with large organizations with innovation challenges and with small and medium-sized organizations who are looking to develop innovative ideas and get them to market. And that could include straight for-profit businesses. It can also include charities, social enterprises, anyone who's looking to develop new products and services and looking to achieve a benefit as a result. And part of what we do through that is launching, it says 10 innovation challenges here because that's what we're aiming for, but actually we're just about to launch the 11th, which will go out next week. And those challenges are working with big organizations like AV Dawson on issues that they have, identifying small and medium-sized organizations who could come up with solutions, and then helping through grant funding and expert input to help the development of those solutions and get them to a stage they can be implemented. And just a little bit more detail on those strands. So I mentioned around the innovation challenges, the one-to-one support, which you can find out information on the project website, which I'll share later on in the session. Design-led training, which is a cohort-led program, and something that we're just about to publish, which is we're running a big innovation event in March, where there are opportunities for local businesses to demonstrate what they've been doing around new product development, new service development, new process development, with a free opportunity to get in front of lots of different customers, potential collaborators, and investors. So look out for that as well if that's relevant to you. The way the innovation challenges work is, as I said, working with 11 challenges now across 7 key themes. We use our networks to identify organizations who can respond to those challenges and then provide some grant funding to facilitate those conversations. The aim then is that the challenge holder, the big organization, and the solution provider, the smaller organization, can end up working together on developing and testing ideas with the aim that that bigger organization might ultimately be a customer for those. Having said that, the bigger organization, the challenge holder, is not intended to be the only customer. We're trying to focus on projects where if you developed a viable solution, you could apply it to multiple customers, potentially in multiple industries, to drive that growth agenda we've just been talking about. The themes are ones that perhaps wouldn't surprise you in the main, but some of them are a bit more, have not been addressed as in detail as some of them have recently. So digital innovation, which is likely where the solution for today would come from. We're doing a lot of work around healthcare, and you can see some challenges on that are public on our website at the moment, around net zero and decarbonisation, social enterprise and helping people to innovate for social good. Transport and logistics obviously plays into what AV Dawson are doing as well. And then we're running programs around professional services and the creative industries, which are perhaps 2 areas which have not had as much attention from an innovation point of view as others. But again, we've got challenges on those on our website at the moment. So the process, if you were to get involved in this, is we publish the challenges and then we invite applications, which is a really, really short expression of interest process from small and medium-sized businesses who can respond. We provide a small amount of grant funding to 3 solution providers per challenge, which helps to develop a little bit more detail around that solution pitch. And then that's what's presented back to the challenge holder, AV Dawson in this case, at the end of about a 6-week period. We then select one solution provider from those that have been involved who receives a slightly larger amount of grant funding and more support to work alongside the challenge holder on developing their idea. Then the aim ultimately is either there's a commercial relationship with a challenge holder to sell your services to them. There's a collaboration agreement where you agree to work together on selling your services to other organizations, or we look for other third-party funding that might help you to get that thing moving forward and implemented. And I'd like to just hand over to John, who's going to talk a little bit about AV Dawson and the specifics of this challenge. I'll just click through as you go, John.
Brilliant. Thanks very much for that, Simon. And hello there. My name is John Booth, as Simon mentioned, and I'm Head of Sustainability and Performance at AV Dawson. And as Simon said, I will talk through a little bit more detail about the company as a whole and what the challenges that we're trying to address. We are a UK logistics provider, and we specialise in road, rail, land, sea, port services, warehousing. So we really aim to try and make our customers' lives easier when it comes to logistics and moving products around. We are rooted in Teesside. We are based in the northeast in Middlesbrough, just along the River Tees, and we are the owner and operator of the Port of Middlesbrough. As part of that, we have a haulage fleet of approximately 39 HGVs, as well as a number of subcontracted ones. And we work with our customers in any way we can to make logistics simple. One of the key challenges that we've got on here, though, which we've mentioned, is safety is overseen by the health, safety, and environment team, the compliance team. And we have a system which allows signatures to be captured for office-based employees who have an AV Dawson account, an Outlook account, so to speak. But for those who are based on site, the operatives, anyone who doesn't have a company account, we currently capture signatures for safety updates, for notifications, for risk assessments, for toolbox talks, and general notifications. So it's worth mentioning it's not just the safety, it's also could be a HR notification or a general business notification. It's captured completely manually, which is not particularly it's not particularly easy for us to then filter, use that data to actually ensure everyone is captured who needs to be. We use systems such as Keyzo to manage inductions, providing introductory informations and site rules. However, policy updates do rely on paper printouts typically for those who do not have an AV Dawson account. So the purpose of this challenge in the context is, as per the slide, we are seeking a digital solution for operatives to confirm understanding of safety information, eliminating paper and improving HSE traceability. The solution will be accessible via tablets in operational areas, which are in the process of being rolled out at the moment, which will enable staff to acknowledge updates on safety policy. The solution must ensure individual traceability with simple authentication, and a key part of that is no AV Dawson account needed. What we do not want is because we only have 9 tablets in the operational areas in the break rooms, we don't want a queue of people trying to log into an account on those to be able to capture the signature or capture some form of traceability to confirm that they have had that particular piece of information. We need whatever the solution is to integrate with our current systems and adapt to others if possible. So we mentioned we use a particular system now for our inductions. That's not to say that in the future we won't look at a different solution. So we need to be agnostic to the application that it interacts with. And it needs to be accessible and user-friendly. And we might touch on that a little bit more as we go through, but that includes for those who are maybe not as good at reading and writing as some others within the business may be. So, from a people perspective and from an operative point of view, resistant mindset, and sometimes we have people who are resistant to change and adopt the attitude, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Now that doesn't apply to everyone, certainly, but we've got a very varied mix of people with a mix of different backgrounds, skills, ages across the business, and a different appetite for technology. So moving away from a paper system which everyone understands to a digital based system, we'll naturally encounter some resistance from some of the people. So that's one of the reasons accessibility and ease of use is key. Technical ability, we've just touched on that there around different ages and backgrounds and the ability of people to be able to adopt to those systems, and language accessibility. So all of our staff can read English. The standard of reading and writing does vary. So something that makes it particularly easy for them to understand the information that's being given would be really appreciated and useful, and should help reduce the challenges of the resistant mindset. From a managers and a HSE staff perspective, losing track. So at the moment, one of the team leaders might compile a list of signatures and it will be scanned in and sent to the HSE team, who will then save that on a SharePoint site or folder. But what we don't have is visibility of who didn't sign it. And we don't have any individualized information about who did sign it to say that they'd received that information. So if there is an incident, and we need to go back and, as part of an investigation, need to check to see who has had that particular piece of information or training, we would have to manually open up a PDF or image of each of the sign-off sheets and read through them and try and find the people in question on there. There is no way of filtering, searching. There is no way of being able to see who has had that information. So that drives an awful lot of admin time for the HSE team or anyone else doing any form of investigation. It's very resource intensive for the exact reasons we mentioned. We're involving in printing, scanning, sending through paper documents, getting rid of them, making sure they're being disposed of properly, making sure we don't have paper printouts, which mean people are looking at potentially an old version of the same information, so you have issues with revision control as well. As much as it's a very small part, but the ability to remove paper also helps our environmental credentials and reducing paper usage throughout our business. And lack of traceability. So this I've already touched on there when we were talking through losing track, but the ability to filter information for an individual is non-existent based on the current system for those who do not have an AV Dawson account. So the process. From a digital point of view, so reducing paper usage, which I've touched on, improving efficiency and allowing data filtering and analysis. It must be accessible, considering variations and a different tech literacy across the business and across the people who would be using it. And features such as text to speech may well be very, very useful to help those who aren't as good at reading and making sure that everyone has the same access to the information. Key changes, sorry. So we want to highlight key changes through this system. So directing users' attention towards a critical update. So if we take a procedure and we update a small part of it on one page in a 15-page document, we don't want people to have to necessarily sift through an entire document because they might miss that key change. So something that can highlight what has been changed would be fantastic. And the confirmation of understanding. So as well, we capture a signature, but that doesn't necessarily mean that, and someone might have read it, but it doesn't necessarily mean they understand and really have taken on board what that change entails. So if there's some way that a system could potentially capture that by confirming competency or understanding of a change, that would be also very beneficial. Automated reminders, automatically flagging overdue tasks and sending reminders, and that takes away some of that admin burden from the team and also helps prevent missing people who may have been on holiday at the time a particular piece of information was given and otherwise may not have that same piece of information delivered to them. Account agnostic, so we talked about that from an identification system. So ability to verify and link operatives to complete documents without the need to log into account is critical. So we don't create backlogs in the operational break rooms where the tablets are going to reside. Visibility of updates. So at the moment, someone might sign something. It's then very, very hard for that individual, if they want to refer back to something, to know what they've signed previously and have access to those again. So it would be really interesting and really beneficial if there was some way that people could see what they have previously signed and maybe refer back to if they need to. And providing a single source of truth, so provide the HSE staff with real-time information that can be interrogated and actioned with confidence, rather than having bits of paper and things stored in various different places and pulled together from different sources. This would really help eliminate a lot of the risk that's associated with the current process. So just in terms of progress, a solution that enables AV Dawson to introduce a more inclusive workspace. So we've talked there about the ability and of some of the people in the business to read and write and understand technology. Having something that allows us to be able to communicate information in a way that everyone can understand would be fantastic. We reduce paper usage, brilliant. Ensuring implementation of health and safety policy, reducing the risk of error and omitted data, which is really key. freeing up staff time to spend on operational tasks. So if we can do this in a more efficient way than our current paper-based process for both the operational teams and the administration teams who deal with it behind, then it's a definite win for us, and create a bank of health and safety information that can be interrogated with confidence. Just to touch on the scope, so I've talked through various different bits and pieces there that we'd ideally like a system to be able to capture, but it's important to note that some things are not in scope for this project. So just to highlight some of the key points there, out of scope is the requirement for operatives to sign into an account, either a personal or company owned. We've touched on that throughout this presentation, and a lot of operatives do not have most have a personal device, but it's their own. Most do not have a work device that's been handed to them and will be accessing all of this information through a tablet, certainly for the purpose of capturing confirmation of receipt. It should not be a data storage system. It's not going to be an analysis tool. We're not expecting the system to be able to analyze the results of the data. It's not going to be a tool for creating or modifying the content. It's a way of capturing response to the content. It should not be tied to a single platform device or point of failure and must be device agnostic. And it's not intended to be a two-way communication tool for staff to feedback on policy either. Anything like that should have been done outside of the scope of this system. But what is in scope is link to readable content to an individual with options to verify their understanding. Allow staff to view managed data on the back-end dashboard system, so we can see who has signed something, who hasn't, who's overdue, what is the status of that particular communication. Work with multiple systems without being adapted, so device agnostic. So I've talked about tablets, but that's not to say something won't change in the future, and we don't want it to be designed to work with an Apple tablet when we move to an Android one, or vice versa. Work across multiple platforms without being modified, so platform agnostic. Adhere to modern web standards, and it should also be capable of pulling relevant and historical information from existing systems, but not act as the data storage system itself. So the key dates really for the challenge. I don't know if you want to talk through this, Simon, or do you want me to just finish off talking?
Quickly cover that. So it's just to say that we've got quite a quick turnaround for the first expression of interest phase. And as I said, that's a really short process. We're not expecting lots of detail or information on a potential solution. That's what we're trying to develop going forward. So we're just trying to make sure that we're working with the right organizations. So the process for submitting an expression of interest is already on our website, and I'll drop the link in a moment. In early December, we'll be reviewing those submissions with John and deciding who we want to go ahead with, so that we can get the initial grants paid in December, ready to be working through over into January on that initial development of your solution pitch back to AV Dawson. So at the end of January, we would like to have the SMEs who are involved come back with their solutions that they've developed, and present to John and to the team with those solutions, so we can decide on what we want to go ahead with, which then gives us a couple of months alongside the £10,000 grant funding that we've got available in phase 2 to develop that idea as far as we can get it and talk through some of the commercial arrangements around that. So that's pretty much where we are at the challenge. We've got quite a short period of time, but quite a defined piece of work that we want to tackle. I think, as we talked about before, if you come up with a good solution to this challenge, it's not only going to apply to AV Dawson, but lots of different organizations where there are a mixture of employed staff, contract staff on short-term arrangements, agency staff who are all responsible for ensuring safety on site, and the company is obviously responsible for ensuring that they're given the training and information that they need. But we need to find really efficient ways of being able to manage that, and effective ways of ensuring compliance with those policies. That could apply in lots of different employers, in logistics we're talking about here, but in manufacturing, in various agent industries, with these kind of issues of a mixture of employees doing different jobs, but all needing to see the same things. So that's where we are. I'm just going to drop the link to the challenge in the chat, and then if there are any questions now, we can pick them up. Otherwise, if you have any questions you want to share afterwards, then we can do that via email or outside of this conversation. Okay, well, I think the links to the challenges are on the screen there. If you want to scan those links, it'll take you through to the challenge pages. Excuse me, I'll try not to die before the end. And look forward to seeing your submissions as they come through. Thanks very much for your time this afternoon.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. Thanks. Bye.